Good morning, good morning, good morning. How's everybody doing today? Okay, so we're linked. I'm always wondering about that. Are we linked into the phone system? What are we linked into the car? Anyways, I'm not going to worry about that. Hey, good morning, everyone. I'm your host, Mad Morgan. How's everybody doing today? TGIF on my end. I'm not sure, of course, when this will be posted, but still TGIF on my end. Um, Hope everybody's doing well. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for being here. So, anyways, where are we at today? It's another fun day, and I got to thinking about topics. And I was going to talk about, um, I was going to talk about a few things. Like I was going to talk about jobs and everything else. But anyways, again, I'm your host Matt Morgan. Thank you for tuning in. As I said, I hope you're doing well. Here's the thing. Today we're going to talk about representing yourself. Okay, representing yourself is today's topic. And the reason I bring this up is because I really think people miss the whole understanding of representing yourself. People just think in the little capacity that they present themselves to certain people that that's the way that they're represented and that's the way everybody actually views them. And I'm thinking what it'd be very naive and very ignorant to think that on both sides. The person that's fronting the particular image, and then of course the opposite of the ones that are actually viewing that image and accepting it as being what it is. The reality is that the smart people, uh, well, let's say the fronter, the one that's actually presenting themselves in a certain way, knows that everybody is watching every single thing that they're doing. Okay, the smart ones, right? They're watching everything. They're not just watching how you dress for that occasion. You walk in, you introduce yourself, and just that occasion. Okay, they realize that people are going to be watching everything from the way they talk, the way they walk, the way they dress, the before and afterwards, catch them in other settings other than that one that they put on that brave face for. You know, you got to understand that every aspect of your life identifies on who you are. And well, my best advice to people is I believe the correct term I'm using is fronting. My best uh, thing is that hey, always be who you are, be the best person and version of yourself at all times, because everybody's going to be watching, and you don't know when they're going to be watching. So don't try to play a fool, thinking that people don't realize all the other stuff. Yes, they will look at the way you dress. They will look at the way you walk. They will look at the way you eat. They will look at the way you dress. They will look at the car you drive. This is all elements of what smart people will be looking at to identify who you are. So, if, as an example, you dress up in a nice business suit or whatever the case may be, you have an interview or a meeting, and you walk in and you're on your best behavior, and yes, sir, no, sir, yes, ma'am, no, ma'am, shaking hands, everything else, playing the part, and then you leave, right? Start swearing into your phone with your buddies. You get into your freaking picnic table car with the big ass stupid spoiler on the back. It's so loud because you want attention from everybody in like a 5 block radius. And you speed off, break a bunch of different rules, don't, traffic rules, and are completely irresponsible. Frankly, that nullifies any of this amazing imagery that you presented during that meeting that you just had. For the ones that are smart enough to be able to observe everything and then go, okay, you know, the thing is that The smart money will identify you as that person. Irresponsible, fake, fraud, not really genuine, just completely not the person that you would really trust somebody with, integrity wise. It's just, it speaks volumes for the person you are, every aspect of your life. So don't. I mean, you might fool some of the people some of the time, but you won't fool the people all the time. If you've ever heard that expression, it's so true. Don't think that you are playing. It's so cool that people are not observing every aspect of who you are. Okay. I see these idiots still, and I pray in some capacity that this idiot, like I saw this blue wannabe sports car uh, today, this morning, and he's got the super loud engine, and picnic table really spoils the car type thing at the back, and it's just looking ridiculous. Like even my 16-year-old self would look at that and go, "Oh my God, that is so wow." Like, not wow in a good sense, but wow, like, okay, you really needed more hugs as a child. I'm sorry that you are so deprived of attention that you have to look like a clown. I don't know, in some cries for attention that some of these people do with their actions and their vehicles and all this stuff like that, where I don't know how they justify it being smart money. Like, this isn't Fast and the Furious. Like, you just wasted how much money looking like that? And it's just all window dressings because it's not practical. Do you think somebody pushing into their mid to late 20s is going to be accepted as responsible and grown up with a toy like that when it's frankly not practical at all in any scenario? Because it's not like you race professionally. It's okay. Put it in the garage, bring it out for car shows. I can understand that. That's fine. But this is your everyday vehicle, and this is what it speaks volumes, my friend. On top of everything else, if you were to get into that stupid-looking clown car, it just completely speaks volumes about how irresponsible you are, and frankly, how you make really bad decisions. Like, that's a really bad decision making process right there. Just saying. Anyways, all that aside. So, back to this whole imagery thing. There's also, of course, the receiving end, and people that blindly take people on face value, like in the way that they dress and the way that they, you know, all this stuff. It's like they get really caught up on the illusion. And it makes me really wonder on people's decision making processes too. And I want to change speeds or probably a little bit of detour here, but I really sit back and I guess that I want to address it like this: beauty is in the eye of the beholder, because I really don't understand if a majority of people are just blind to the reality, or they are just living in some sort of illusion. I read an article recently about this young girl, can't call her a lady, young girl who has an OnlyFans, and she makes like, I don't know, she made like $75 million and everything else. And I'm like, okay, well, since she's bought a mansion and everything else in Florida and all that stuff, and I'm sitting there going, okay, wow, 74 million. Because I'm at that point right now. I'm hurting. I'm hurting for money, trying to make ends meet, trying to find a job, etc., etc., etc. My last venture blew up in my face. Um, so I'm sitting there going, wow, okay. So this person, OnlyFans, automatically you're thinking, she's selling herself out left, right, and center. Which that's usually what goes hand in hand when you have an OnlyFans account. You're pretty much, you know, doing despicable things just to basically get that money. But anyway, so I'm really interested in this one, and this is along the lines. Bear with me. Keep up with me. It's still on the whole imagery thing and representing yourself. Um, I'm like, all right, this got to be pretty impressive. 75, 74, $75 million. I'm like, that's pretty impressive. I said, that's some nice money there. I'm like, what is she doing? Maybe I should, take off all my clothes and completely have zero respect for myself and just completely sell myself out and get a paycheck, because at least I'd have a nice little cushion moving forward. So I checked it out. I'm like, all right, Google search this person and everything else because I'm thinking, wow, this person's got to be like next level. I'm like, okay, this person's nothing special. I'm like, wow, like just not really that attractive. Maybe my definition of attractive is different, but not that attractive, not that sexy, not that appealing. Now, unless she does despicable things with parts of her body and a whole bunch of different toys and, just completely will almost eat shit on camera, then I really can't see what the appeal is. I'm sitting there going, how does this person get these kind of numbers? And I look at the age and I'm like, holy crap, you're still a baby. Like, you've been doing this X number of years, and at this point, you're that young? I'm like, on one hand, you're going to have to sit there and go, okay, I applaud you for the entrepreneur aspect of it, but you completely made a name for yourself, and you've completely represented this is you, this is how it is, and the rest of the world will know this moving forward. This is how you made your money, and now that people have you completely taken away the mystery about any part of you that's sacred or intimate or special, because everybody's seen every single part of you, including your colon. It's just okay. Like, that's just your legacy now. That's you, right? That's going to haunt you for the rest of your life. That is how you are earmarked. That is how you're represented. And I go, okay, well, and you're still young, and the only good thing is that you're young, and now you have more money than most people will see in a lifetime. But I'm like, still, you sold out your legacy in order to get a paycheck. Your self-respect obviously had a price tag, and I was like, I don't know. I don't know if I could live with that is me. That is how I'm identified now. That is my legacy moving forward. And yes, you got a bag of money, but I hope you do something with that money because there's nothing else you're going to be doing. No one will hire you unless it's in the porn industry. Um, you know, you can sell yourself on the same level of things, but you're never going to have any sort of level of respect or any sort of respectable position. It's just not going to happen. Don't fool yourself, you know. So I'm hoping you spend that money wisely. I still don't understand what all these other people are seeing, but obviously ugly is the new sexy. Because not curvaceous, nothing really to write home about. Kind of like, not to sound, shallow and just completely um, full of myself, but it's like used goods in a trailer park. Like, it's just not something that it's kind of like good for a Saturday night if you've been drinking, but not something that you're bringing home to mom for church or on Sunday. It's just no, no, just get a big stamp that says used goods and stamp it on the forehead and away you go. So and that's fine, but that's the choice that they made. And although probably young and naive and didn't know any better, just was more focused on the money than anything else, didn't think about the long term. Okay, that's just the way it is. That's decisions that they made, pretty much in black and white. Their name is put on it. That's it. You're not fooling anybody. It's kind of hard to fool somebody when the rest of the world, kind of has a better idea about you. And okay, fair enough. the rest of them are fronting and putting these images on a day to day, putting on the suit, putting on the smile, putting on the falsehood in order to, to play play the scene on a small level. But this person decided that they were going to sell their souls to, whatever it took to get their paycheck, and they did, and that's fine. But you got to live with that, right? That is something that you got to live with if you make that decision. And some people will be like, "Oh well, if you live in high, she got like $70+ million. What is she worried about?" Well, still selling your reputation. You still sold your legacy, and that's kind of who you are now. There's really no coming back from that. Like, in your heart of hearts, you know it. Um, and most likely, this person will probably end up with psychological issues and unfortunately probably take her own life because it will catch up to her. She will completely beat herself up over the decision making process, regardless of the payday and whatnot. It's unfortunate. It's unfortunate. So, what's the moral of the story in today's show? Here's the thing. Here's my point about the whole thing. Am I bitter? Not really. Am I jealous? No, because I like to live my life with integrity. I might not be the shiniest option. I might not be the most flavor of the flaves. I might not be the most stylish or whatever. I mean, I've had my day. I've had my point in time when I was the cat's meow, where, I was admired and I was sought after and I was all this in a bag of chips. I've had that time. I've had that day. So it's not anything that I haven't had. It's just something I don't have right now, right? And I'm happy with that because at least I've got my own legacy. At least I've made my own name for myself, and I have no regrets. You know, is it as profitable as it could have been? No, it's not. But at least at the end of the day, I can live with myself. I mean, that's kind of how it is. At least at the end of the day, I can live with myself. I represent myself on a different level when I have to because the occasion calls for it. And I'm okay with that. You know, I'm okay with that. Because sometimes you have to play a part temporarily for whatever reason. And it is just the way it is. You just have to accept it and move on and play your part in order to represent yourself the best you possibly can, and don't sweat it at that point. But as long as you have follow through with it all, that's all that really should matter. Is that you have follow through with it all. Like, you put on the pretty face, and maybe you dumb it down a bit when you leave the room, but it's still carrying yourself as you. You might be a little lesser of a play, but you're still walking out of that room with the same level of integrity, of self-respect, of, you're still carrying yourself, not a complete opposite of who you are, just probably a little lesser version of it, which signifies that you are still the person that you presented yourself to be, but you're just, in a little lesser sense, to obviously show that for that occasion that you're putting on a little bit of a braver face, a little bit more of a dignified face, a little bit more of a professional face. But it's not a complete 180. It's not something that's completely out of left field. It is literally just a little bit of a lesser version of what you were on the occasion, whether it's a meeting, whether it is whatever it is. Okay. But it's the people that completely put on one face and then are completely opposite the next. Those are the people that you kind of look at and you go, wow. and that people see. You could try to fake it in front and everything else. It's just not going to work. Like, I'm sorry, you'll get busted. And if people are stupid enough to actually fall for the imagery because people's putting on their best face for an occasion to get what they want, or to try to fool people in a particular meeting or whatever, whether it's a brave face, mean face, sad face, happy face, whatever the case may be, it's just manipulation. It's no, I'm sorry, it's just not one of those things that you should do, because you will get found out. It all comes out in the wash, as they say. So do yourself a favor. Just be who you are through and through. Completely, through and through. Just be who you are. No ifs, ands, or buts, no excuses, no nothing. Just be who you are. That's my best advice I can give for you, for folks today. Be who you are consistently. No faking, all that stuff. Just stick with it consistently. Consistently. Have integrity. Do all that. Anyways, I'm your host, Matt Morgan. I'm going to wrap it up for today. I got shit to do today, and I really don't want to. I'm going through a turbulent time right now. Really trying to make ends meet. I got some business ventures. I got into the whole KDP thing, trying to get some money from any resources I can. And now I'm also looking for a job. That's not easy when you're in my age category. There's a bunch of ages out there that don't want to admit it, but unfortunately, there's a bias against, you know, people of a certain age. Um, it's fucked up, in my opinion. Like, the skill set that comes from my generation is just immense. Because I'm sorry, but Gen Zs are a bunch of friggin' crybabies, and their work ethic needs a lot of work, in my opinion. But that's my opinion. What's your opinion? Hey, you know what? I'm a lot of different outlets, also on YouTube now. So, feel free to leave your comments on our shows. I always like to hear feedback. I always like receiving your emails. Um, you can reach us, of course, on themadmorgan.com. Check us out. Uh, Reach out. Donate if you can. Share us with people. All that fun stuff. And get the word out. Appreciate that. That's about it for today. I'm exhausted. So much to do. I hope you're doing well on your end, wherever you are in the world, wherever you're listening from. I hope you're doing well. I know it's a struggle for a bunch of people these days, but, onwards and upwards. We just got to do what we got to do. But I hope you're hanging in there. And if you have a job, savor that job, value that job, because they're far and few between. Um, it's something that if you have, you really should hang on to. Anyways, love you. Thanks for tuning in. Keep your integrity in check, and I will see you in the next episode. Bye for now.